Another peeve is lists. A lot of pen test reports will include long lists of IP addresses. And the thing that I keep reminding testers about is some poor schmo is going to be on the receiving end of this list. And he's going to have to go through and either verify your findings, or he's going to have to go through that entire list of servers and make sure that they've been upgraded once. I mean, come on. Do you want to go through a list like this? And unfortunately, Word sucks at sorting. It just does. In an ideal universe, your list should be sorted alphabetically. So unless there's a good reason to have usernames or field values or something in a list and in a specific non-alphabetical order, if there isn't a good reason, sort it alphabetically. It makes it easier for people to find stuff. It makes it easier to scan and go through. If it's numbers, you want it sorted numerically. If it's IPv4 addresses, you want it sorted by octet. If you're using lots of domains, you want it sorted by top level, domain, and then subdomain. Just saying. Ways to improve your lists. Isn't this so much prettier? It lines up, and believe me, I've been on the receiving end of lists like this, and going through a list like this versus a list like this, yeah, it's a world of difference. Linux is your friend. This is my gift to you. Now, this particular command, cat, display, list.txt. Come on, you captured the data in a file, didn't you? And then you pipe it to sort. Now, the TAC capital V is actually intended to sort by version number, but it works beautifully for IPv4 addresses. And then you pipe it to unique. Why? Because you don't want duplicates. If you have duplicates in your data is wrong. If you're reporting that there are 372 servers with X problem or vulnerable to this CVE and there's only 349, that's your problem. Dedupe it. This command will do the exact same thing. So sorting is going to reduce the amount of pain you inflict on others. Deduping avoids damaging your cred. And if you want a lot more detail about the whys and wherefores, more in-depth discussion on why sorting your list matters, there's a link in the notes. All right. This one is one that is not so easy to solve. Irrelevant guidance. A company with anyone with any amount of technical skill, they can run their own scans. You're supposed to be the subject matter expert. So your guidance needs to be meaningful, relevant, practical. If your report describes a CVE that applies to Oracle databases, and your client doesn't have any Oracle databases, then your guidance is useless. It's worthless. So you want your guidance to relate to the customer you're dealing with. And this is where, like I say, you're the subject matter expert. You're the one who's supposed to know about it. And you know what? If you don't know off the top of your head, learn. Do your research, ask other testers, get additional information, but make sure that what goes into that report is meaningful and relevant. And that's how you add value. That's how you make the report matter to the people on the receiving end. Anyone can run scripts. Your guidance is what they need most. And last but not least, you do not want to contaminate your report with information from another customer. If you've been in the business for any amount of time at all, you probably have reports already in the can. Do not copy paste between reports. Don't do it. Contamination of one report with data, information, even a name from another client can have serious repercussions. I'm talking lawyers. I'm talking red and blue Christmas tree lights. Don't do it. At BHIS, copy pasting between reports is a fireable offense. And I understand why that policy exists. Just don't do it. Now, obviously, I've barely scratched the surface. There are so many other tips and tricks that don't fit into those 7 deadly sins of report writing. If at all possible, you want to have someone else read your report. And I mean, really, anybody, your grandmother, the mailman, make them sign an NDA. Do not inflict it on your significant others. That will not end well. Just saying. Also, leave yourself time to make edits and revisions. Editing and revising is part of every writing process. Hemingway said it beautifully: write drunk, edit sober. You have to give yourself time to make edits and revisions. And if the client does something well, mention it. It may be that you went in and you found that inside the perimeter, their system, their infrastructure is like Swiss cheese. But you know what? Their perimeter is solid. So if their external attack surface is locked down tight, mention it, because that's a mitigating factor. Include that kind of information. Now, obviously, you don't want to blow too much smoke up, whatever, but you want to have an accurate report. And that means if they're doing something right, say so. If it has a direct impact on their overall security profile, mention it. Also, please get some sleep. Seriously. It will help on so many levels. If you've been staring at a report for hours and hours and hours, your eyes are blurry, you're not doing any good, and you're not going to be generating a decent product. And the report is the product. So get some sleep. When you come back to it after 2, 3, 6 hours of rest, you'll see things much more clearly and you will struggle far less. Also, print preview is your friend. I kid you not, if you're using Word, Control P, you pull up a print preview, typos that you've been staring at for days will leap off of the screen at you in print preview. I don't know why it is. I only know it happens. It'll also give you a better idea as to how the page flow is. If you're using only a third of the page, go through and do that. Also, include the exact commands you use during the engagement. I have a blog post on how and why to do that, but you really want to do that. And you also want to include links to the tools that you use, especially, okay, everybody knows about Nmap, but maybe they don't know about SSL scan or some particular element for Metasploit, or there's some really cool Python script, AD internals or sys internals or something. They may never have heard about it. Include those links to the tools in your report Footnotes work beautifully for that, because that way you can include the information and not disrupt the flow of the narrative. But wait, there's more.
Man, was that the best ever cliffhanger? Oh,
okay.
so Bronwen, you said, but wait, there's more. And it froze, and it was fantastic. And we can never, ever, 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 ever plan that. Okay, welcome back.
Okay, so there's more. I have detailed a lot of issues that I want to document and write things about. I sent a book proposal to No Start Press, but I got critics back. But these are some of the things that I see as being issues and as things that you can do to help improve your report writing. So at the end of the day, your pen test report is more than just a record of your exploits. It really isn't about you. The best possible outcomes is that your report is going to be a teaching tool. It's going to give insight to the customer to help them do things better. You have to explain why the findings matter, especially for the executives. They don't get it. You have to help them. That's why they hired you. And if you do your job right, and if the customer is paying attention, you can generate positive changes in their infrastructure, their systems, their software, and most importantly, in their attitudes. So, hacking is fun, but your report is the product. A good report tells a story: what was found, how it was found, and how what was found can be fixed. You don't have to be elite hacksaw to write reports well. And like I say, this is for the people who are new to the business. If you can write well, you can be a mediocre hacker, but you can still deliver value. Keep your focus on helping the customer understand, because a great report empowers people.
Hey, great job.
Oh, yeah, you nailed it.
Yes,
Bronwen.
Yeah.
Well done. All right, Deb's coming to join us. So that was Bronwen's very first Black Hills Information Security webcast. Bronwen, you did a great job. That was wonderful. Thank you for taking years and years and years of reading our pen test reports and making them better, so that way you could help at least the 700 people who are attended this live make their pen test reports better, or at least be able to read pen test reports better if they're on the other side of that, what to look for when getting a pen test report. So well done.
Such a good storytelling. I had moments where I felt like I was a kid again at the library being like read a story to, like story time, story lady, whatever it was.
And that cliffhanger, I can't wait for you to watch it back.
Yeah.
Because you weren't there. We were there.
It was so good. Yeah, it was great. Whew. Yeah.
Okay.
There was more. There was.
All right. So the thing is, we have a lot of questions, Bronwen, and we don't have time for those questions. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to finish the webcast, and then we're going to stick around for about 5 minutes, Bronwen. So we're going to answer rapid fire questions. And we understand some people, they're on the lunch break. You need to go. So here's how I'd like to wrap this up, and then we'll stay for those who want to stay. Bronwen, what are your final thoughts? And I know you already gave your final thoughts, but for anyone that's getting ready to leave, what's the one thing you would like to say before they go?
The report is the product, and you want to empower the reader. You want to make it easy for them to find what matters. And the more that you focus on improving your communication skills, the better you can do that. And the collateral benefits of learning to communicate well will touch every part of your life.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Thank you all so much for joining us on this Black Hills Information Security webcast. My name is Banjo Crashland or Jason Blanchard. And we got Deb here, we got Ryan, we got Bronwen, and we got Ian. And thank you so much for joining us. If you ever need a red team threat hunt, or if you would like to see what it looks like to receive a pen test report from us, because you got a pen test from us, you know where to find us. And we appreciate you being here. We'll see you next time. Next week we have another webcast, and the week after that we have another one, and a week after that we have another one.
You can't stop.
So
We got a stream tomorrow.
And a stream tomorrow. All right. All right. So webcast is done. So we're gonna stick around. We're gonna do some Bronwen rapid fire questions. So
A lot of people would like to see a Bronwen anti-siphon class.
They would. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. We'll have to make that happen.
One of these. What do you do when you have a missing screenshot?
A missing screenshot?
You find it?
Usually I kick it back to the tester and say, did you forget to put something here? I mean, this is the screenshots supplement the narrative. And one of the things that I see frequently that I didn't touch on in the presentation is sometimes people will use screenshots to replace narrative. And that you want to make sure that the screenshots support the narrative, not replace it. So often the feedback that I will give to a tester if they're relying too much on screenshots is make sure that if every image in your report disappeared, that someone would still be able to follow along in the narrative and understand what they're doing. Another thing is making sure, like, okay, if a report is 3/4 screenshots and 1/4 narrative, let's say that a company has someone who is visually impaired. How is that person going to get value out of your report? You have to have narrative. Your screenshots supplement. They provide evidence. They are not the narrative.
Hey, Ian, let's go back and forth. I'll find a question, you find one, I'll find one, you find one. But since you didn't know that, I'm going to ask this one. Huge question. Any tips for how to explain the more critical issues for the non-tech audience in the exec summary?
That's a great question.
Well, you know what? I have to fall back to some of what Einstein is supposedly said. If you can't explain it without numbers and letters and fancy terms, you don't understand it yourself. I mean, there's lots of ways to describe something where you don't have to get technical. I mean, let's take a look at default creds. We can talk about specifics, but basically leaving default creds is like you can use analogies. It's like you've left the door unlocked, or it's keyed to a key that everybody on the planet has. You have to find a way, and this is where talking to different people and getting a feel for their language is very useful.
Okay, Ian.
Yeah, so I'm going to consolidate a bunch of questions because many had to do with what does Black Hills recommend for this or whatnot, but they all came down to what should people be using for reporting? Is it Word? Is it a commercial product? Is there something that you like a Plextrack or a Dratus? And I'm combining a couple questions there, but what have you seen works best?
I know that there are a lot of people who are against Word, but the reality is that a lot of the companies that can afford to pay for penetration tests are going to be using Microsoft products in their business. So Word and export to PDF, the advantage of PDF is that it's more difficult to alter as opposed to a Word document. I have not personally used Plextrack or some of the other reporting tools out there, but I know that there are many more now available than there used to be. And I know a number of companies have their own, they've rolled their own findings, tools, and ways of documenting things. So it's there's so many different answers. But one of the things that I do recommend is that because Word is ubiquitous, it is everywhere. It is not a bad thing to become familiar with Word and how to use its word processing capabilities well.
Yeah, part of helping my daughter with her homework is trying to figure out how Word screwed up everything that she was trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
So, and then she's like, "Why won't it work?" And she just keeps hitting the keyboard. I'm like, "Well, first of all, that's not going to fix it." All right.
Makes you feel better though.
It does.
Yeah.
A lot of
aggression.
Do you recommend double spaced or 1.5 spaced?
Getting into religious questions now, because that feels like it's bordering on religion.
Yeah, I deliberately left things like that and the Oxford comma out of the presentation.
Two spaces at the end of a sentence or one. Answer parish.
Answer parish.
We were working with an organization and they didn't use the Oxford comma, and I was like,
in their,
yeah, it was like style guide.
Yeah,
no Oxford comma.
No Oxford comma. Well, we're going to use it here.
Yeah, because our style guide is an Oxford comma. So.
Yeah, the double space after. So I think that depends on when you grew up.
Yeah. Best screen capture software.
So many different options. I know that Shutter, I want to say Flame Shot, Green Shot. Yeah, and like I say, if you really want to go for bear, Photoshop. Yeah, the screen capture itself is easy. The thing that is a little bit more challenge is being able to make the annotations. And something I didn't mention, but is important when it comes to screenshots, is that when you embed an image with callouts and highlighting into a report, you don't want to be using the highlighting or other features of whatever word processor you're using. You want all of those callouts, you want those highlights to be baked into the image that is placed within the report. So really, it's about finding what works well for you. Some people, if you love GIMP, use GIMP. If you have Photoshop and you roll with it, find what works for you. There's tons of options out there.
So I was a little caught off guard because the only GIMP I've ever heard of is the one from Pulp Fiction. But Ian, you get the last question.
GIMP is great. It's free.
Jason, we can't take you anywhere. No, so yeah, last question here. I really like this question here. So who are the most critical readers of a pen test? So they're actually asking, and this is from an anonymous attendee, but who gets a report and they come back and you hear, oh, the customer wanted further explanation here, and they ask public, private sector, or government sectors?
I honestly don't know, because I don't get included into those follow-up conversations. Yeah. I do know that when it comes to clients, we do get a wide spectrum, because you have some clients where they're only interested in ticking off boxes for compliance. Mm-hmm. And then you have other organizations who know nothing, and their cybersecurity program is very immature and needs a lot of work. And then you have large multinational corporations, and they want to lock things down tighter than a drum. So I don't know specifically what sector is most critical. I think it has to do a lot with the security culture of the specific organization.
All right. So we had a chance at CactusCon to talk to a pen tester who works at a company that doesn't have tech reviewers. They don't have someone that will look over their work and help revise it. And so, Bronwen, I am thankful that you're here at Black Hills, and I'm thankful that we have that opportunity. And so, what I hope happened today is for those people who don't have that tech writer, who don't have that opportunity to have someone review their work, they were able to learn something from you today that they can put in their pen test reports so that they can approve those, and then so clients can get a better report, so they have more actionable things that they can take and fix. So thank you for sharing your knowledge with the community today.
We look forward to your class.
Mm-hmm.
My pleasure.
All right, everybody. That's it for us this week. Hopefully you'll join us next week in all of our live streams. Ryan, kill it with fire. Kill it, Ryan. Kill it. Come on.
Fire.
Come on, Ryan.